Guys, welcome back with Wealthy Banda. Today I'll provide you my 2 years update in my investment with Prosper, a peer-to-peer lending platform that allow you to literally invest in other people's debt. Now the idea behind the Prosper is really simple. Somebody want to go ahead and borrow money, and instead of going to the bank and borrow the money from them, they can literally go ahead and raise this money from other people, like me and you. And we don't need to go ahead and shield millions of dollars in order to lend people money. No, we can start lending them money from as little as $25 each. So here's what Prosper does. You need to borrow money, you go to Prosper, mention why you want the money, how much you need. Prosper go ahead, figure everything out, and create notes. These notes can be from as little as $25. We can go to the marketplace, choose who we want to go ahead and lend them the money. And we are good to go. Prosper doesn't really take much fee. They take anything between 2.5 to 5%. And we get everything else. Now you may wonder, how much money can you make with Prosper? As a matter of fact, Prosper gives you anything between 5 to 35% return on investment, depending on the level of risk you are taking. Now today I'm going to go ahead and cover 3 things. 1, I'm going to show you how well did I do over the course of the last 2 years. Then I'm going to go ahead and show you the criteria I used in order to be able to produce this crazy return. Last but not least, I'm going to share why did I quit Prosper and why you may consider quitting it too. Let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to go ahead and jump into my account, but before I do so, I want to take a moment and explain to you my journey with Prosper. When I started with Prosper in 2020, I started with a very small amount of money, $100. Then I start adding 25, 50. Whenever I have money, I just go ahead and put it in Prosper. And every return I get, I literally just go ahead and reinvest it. So anytime I take a return from Prosper, I immediately go ahead and reinvest it. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or $100. I just go ahead and reinvest it. And the nice thing is, Prosper is paying me back on monthly basis. So it's a great opportunity for me to go ahead and take this cash and reinvest it. Now this continued to go on in 2020 until the end of the year. In 2021, I decided, look, Prosper is a great platform, I'm getting a really good return, but I'm not interested in continue investing with the platform. And this is where things start change. In 2021, whenever I have money, I go ahead and withdraw it. So let me go ahead and show you my return. When I started with a very small return, like first month, no return, started coming up, and it continued going on all the way until I almost hit 13%. Now, this is when I actually stop reinvesting even my money. I just go ahead and withdraw everything. And it continued to drop. Again, there's multiple factors of notes are delayed, or if I'm actually having anything that defaulting, it all affected this. And it's still around between 11.5 to 12%. So my return actually are phenomenal. If you go ahead and check some of the other YouTubers who are making reviews on Prosper, they were making anything between 5 to 6% return. I'm going to say I was killing it. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the criteria on how well did I do. But let me go ahead and show you something on my notes. Let me open my notes right here. Again, I have almost 150 notes. I literally bought some notes even less than $1. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Let's go ahead and click on defaulted. Now, these are the ones that literally I lost all of my money in it. I have only one note that went on default out of 150, so I was killing it. And the reason this note went into default is the person who actually borrowed the money unfortunately passed away. So may he rest in peace. It's a sad thing, he's forgiven for whatever debt he have left. Now I'm going to go ahead and share the criteria I used in order to invest with the Prosper. So let me go ahead to my investment. I also want to point out, you can see actually here the type of notes I was buying. So a lot of people go for HR and E, which is the highest risk and highest return. You can get 35 on these, but there's a high default opportunity. So you always want to balance yourself. For me, my sweet spot was C and D, followed with B. And as you can see, I have a little bit of an A. I didn't really take a huge risk with HR, but I took a few with E. So it wasn't really bad. Like, okay, I have 1 or 2. If they defaulted, it's not a big deal. But if they didn't, I'm still in for the running for 30% return, which is amazing. Now let me go ahead and show you the criteria. Now these are currently all the available loans that I can go ahead and invest in it. And clearly they have plenty. As a matter of fact, they add almost on daily basis. Right now there's around 31 of them. So tomorrow you will go ahead and see even more. I'm going to click here and show you my original filter, the filter I have been using. Out of all of these, there's only one of them that actually meet my criteria. So you can see I was very selective as far as who I am lending them the money. Now, here are the things that I actually take into consideration. 1, I don't lend people for 5 years. 3 years are my sweet spot. 5 years is too long, and a lot of things can happen in 5 years, right? So I like to stick to the minimum term available. Now, as far as tip to income, for me, I try to keep it around 40% or lower. Your debt cannot bypass 40% of your income. If it does, it's concerning. The chances is you will default. So if somebody go accept somebody with debt to income ratio of 50%, the chances is these people are going to default. And I also take into consideration my return. So I am not actually selecting, hey, the rating A or B or whatever. I'm only focused on what is it return. I want anything between 9 and above. 36% would be amazing, but I'm good even with the 9%, right? Which is bypass the inflation. Right now, inflation at 8.5. If I'm actually lending people money for less, I'm losing money. Now, here are things that I was very strict about. If anybody have delinquency, now on the last 7 years, it's a no-no. If you have a public record, which means probably bankruptcy, it's a big no-no. So these are stuff that I don't actually negotiate with. It's a big no-no for me. Now, I also take into consideration two things. What are the active loans this person have and the total loans he have? So for me, I prefer zero. This should be the only loans that you are requesting of Prosper, active or not. Again, I'm not really in the business of people re-lending money, right? So these are the stuff that I taking very seriously. I also make sure this person have a job. Now, these are the filters I actually can filter down. Now, other things that I actually look into that are not displayed here, if I click on the listing, I actually look what kind of job he has. Now, some of them put other. I don't really like to give somebody money if he is other. Your credit must be of 600 for sure. I also take into consideration how much debt do you owe. So if you owe $10,000, $20,000, it's okay. If you owe $100,000, $200,000, we're not gonna be friends. Even if your income higher, I don't care. Another thing I take into consideration as well, what type of job this guy have. Other is not really something I'm interested in. I usually prefer to lend money to nurses, doctors, police officers, people who are working as employees or a clerk. These are the sweet spots for me. I also take into consideration, hey, what are they borrowing the money for, right? If he borrowing the money for a vacation, I'm not lending that person, right? I usually focus, I'm going to go ahead and lend the money to somebody who actually would need it for a good reason. You are trying to do debt consolidation. If you are not going to take this money, you will be screwed. Or if you are trying to, for example, to go ahead and do operation, you need to borrow money. Otherwise, you may die, right? So these are good causes. If I'm going to go ahead and lend somebody money, God help us all, it better be for a good cause. Now I'm going to go ahead and answer for you the most important question. Clearly, I did very well with the Prosper. So why am I quitting Prosper as of the time I'm making this video? Well, there's multiple reasons really why I decided to go ahead and quit it. Now, it's nothing about the platform. Prosper is a really good company. As a matter of fact, I did not have any issue with their support. They are managing stuff perfectly. Those guys have been around for over a decade. And if somebody would ask me, hey, I want to invest in a Prosper, do you recommend them based on experience? Yeah, if you want to go ahead and invest, sure. But here is why I decided to quit. One, Prosper lending people money for all reasons. If you want to go ahead and borrow money for a vacation, they will lend it to you. If you want to go ahead and borrow money, for example, in order to buy a new RV, they will lend it to you. For me, I don't really believe this is the best way to lend people money. Look, if somebody want to go ahead and borrow money to start a new business, if they want to go ahead and expand their business, I'm more than happy to do it. And the Prosper do a small amount of this, but they are not really focused on that. And this was the main reason, like, hey, this is not the thing I want to do. Now, I enjoyed lending businesses money, and this is why I actually moved to small businesses. I actually started doing small business bond, small business notes, and these have return of investment, anything right now, between 7% all the way to 30%. And I'm going to go ahead in the description and list for you all of these resources. A couple of these platforms I actually reviewed in the past, like the SMBX and Honeycomb Credit. I'm also going to go ahead and list for you the note, which is the MetaVest, which actually can provide you crazy return as much as 30%. For me, if I can go ahead and get this type of return with small businesses, I don't want to lend people. So this was my only take. Again, nothing against the company itself. I'm just really not comfortable with the practice itself. As a matter of fact, I'm very uncomfortable with me lending people money because I don't know if I'm really helping them or, I might be hurting them as well. And for that reason, I decided to take all of my profit and just donate it. Right now, as you can see, it should have around $933. As a matter of fact, only $500 of this are still mine. So I draw $2,000 out of my principal. I have $500 of this principal still exist. Once I got my $500, I'm planning to take all the remaining money and just donate it. So it will be around $500. I'm going to go ahead and donate it for charity. And again, this is just my comfort zone. I'm not really interested in putting people in debt for whatever cause. Hey, if you're borrowing money in order to invest, and I'm taking with you the risk. I understand with Prosper, I'm still taking risk. None of these notes I'm actually getting are secured or guaranteed, right? I can lose all of my money, and that's okay. And I'm willing to take the same risk with a small business. But I want to make sure if somebody gonna borrow the money, it's they are borrowing it for the right reason. For me, if I'm gonna go ahead and borrow money from the bank, it should not be because I want to go on a vacation. That's just crazy, right? I don't believe any investor should borrow money for any reason but to go ahead and invest. This is the only reason you should be borrowing money. If you're borrowing money because you need it, this is a troubling sum for me. So this is my only take regarding Prosper. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe if you are not already a subscriber. Hit that like button and turn on the notification if you have not done so already. Thank you guys and stay tuned with Wealthy Bender.